And welcome back for the final game between Scan and Voss. The score is 3-2 in favor of Voss. Voss has managed to pull off some pretty easy Protoss versus Terran wins so far. But as the video length already spoils, this one won't be easy. Voss did end up losing both the Terran versus Terran and the Zerg versus Terran, so that does show that he does have some weaknesses that Scan can exploit on different races. Even though Voss's main race is Terran, his main experience lies in Terran versus Protoss on fastest map. Does not lie in Zerg versus Terran, nor Terran versus Terran. And then again, there are barely any fastest map players that have Terran versus Terran experience because the map pretty much just gets avoided completely. Nobody likes it. Some people do. But nobody likes to play it because it feels like a very boring, campy, slow-paced match that the players themselves don't happen to like all that much. So Voss is going to start with a Nexus because he hasn't made gateways just yet, saving up for the 400 minerals. Scan starts off with the usual, depot into a barracks. And he goes for a second barracks maybe? And there is the second barracks. Alright, so it looks like Scan learned from last game because he's decided against going for the very quick command center that he went for last game. It instantly got punished with a 4 barrack build and a cannon push. Scan pretty much had no units, didn't have enough units to fend off, and he died pretty quick, 4 minutes in fact, which is a very quick death. Another depot coming down on the top side. Now he's vision of both corners of his map, both sides. He's got vision everywhere. SCV that he made the barrack with is going out in the middle, gonna scout wherever Voss might be located. Once he has the information, it's gonna be crucial for him. But Voss has started the cannon in his choke, so he's going for the exact same build that he did a couple games ago. The fast Reaver Zealot. Although he's going for a double gas this time around. Last time he went for a single gas, this time there's 2 gas. And likewise, there's only a single cannon there to choke, whereas he went for 2 cannons the previous time. Scan now has all of his barracks finished, another depot being built there on the top side. Getting every single little bit of fog in his base unfogged. SCV made it through, somehow. Probably moved in there before the cannon was finished, because it did only take 1 hit. 6 probes move out of the minerals, going on to the assimilator. 7x core has finished. 7x core is on the way. It didn't finish at all. Marines being located there in the choke is going to prevent any probe from Voss from entering. Voss is not going for the early harass build because he's got only a single gateway. There's a single zealot out there. Second zealot is on the way, but 2 zealots from a single gateway is definitely not enough to fight into those 3 barracks that Scan has there. Scan stopped making Marines because he sees that Voss went for the choke. He also sees that Voss does not have any units out aside from those 2 zealots, so he'll be safe on those couple of Marines. Instead, he goes for 2 command centers. His economy will be booming. He's only 4 SCVs behind on Voss's probe count. Voss will very slowly advance further and further ahead of Voss up until those 2 command centers that Scan is now adding on meet that equilibrium point where both players will have the same amount of workers, which will be about the 6 or 7 minute mark. Yeah, about 6 or 7 minute mark should be about the point where both players start to have similar counts of workers. Wait, did I say 6 or 7? I meant 7 or 8. Alright, so the first 2 robotic facilities, one has finished warping in, the second is on the way. Robotic support bay is also being made. Still of a dune right next to it. And now he's adding on the gateways. Will be 4 gateways in total. Once the support bay finishes, 2 Reavers will be made in those facilities. Still of a dune finishes. After those 2 Reavers are being queued up, Still of a dune will start the legs. There is the support bay that finishes up. Now researching graphite boosters. There's 2 Reavers in there. Just 50 more gas and 100 minerals until you can start the Citadel of a Dune Zealot lag speed. There is the Zealot leg speed, and he's gonna start pumping Zealots. While that is researching, and he's gonna go for the frontal attack or attack from the side. Scan now starting turrets on the side there pretty early, 5 minutes. I think that's a little early. Once again, he's going for a huge number of barracks. I wonder how he's going to hold it this time around, because last time around he pretty much wound up rolling over and dying without much of a fight. Every single one of his units got shredded down by his Reavers. But this time he's keeping his units inside of his base. He's not making them leave, he's not sending them out into the middle of the map, so he definitely will be capable of defending himself as those shuttles come flying in. Alright, a scan comes out. Where did scan? Oh, he scanned the choke. Alright, that's a smart move. So he adapted to that information. He now knows to scan this part here, so you can see the drops finishing or loading up or flying out. He knows the shuttle is not there, so he knows the shuttle has flown out. There's basically no choke for scan here. Right, Marine's coming out. He's going for the shuttle first. He's ignoring the Reavers on the floor. Now he's going for the Reavers as the shuttle has gone back, but pretty much all the Marines have gone down already. It's going to be an absolute miracle if Scan survives this. But a single Reaver has gone down. That's unfortunate. And actually, I'm kind of surprised to see that Voss is not going to kill those bunkers here in the front, because he definitely had some time to get some free shots off on those bunkers there. Instead, he's giving Scan time to replenish his count of units, and I completely disagree with this choice here. Right, what does he have in there? Right, it's mostly, one is empty, but there's 4 Zealots there on the map that he can load up into the shuttle. So he'll have 3 shuttles with 8 Zealots and 2 Reavers. He's gonna try to fly in from some direction. He's gonna fly them in over the southern side of the base of Scan. Scan has a lot of turrets there, just spread out haphazardly across his base, but it should be enough to give him some ability to fight off those shuttles, or at least force Voss to unload very, very early and not flying all the way. And Voss just so unloads very early there in the corner. This should give Scan the chance to stim his Marines up down into the corner there. Most of the Zealots going down because they're not close to the Reaver. The Reaver gets loaded up into the shuttle. The Reaver gets loaded into the shuttle and flies away. Doesn't fly away. He's trying to micro it, but the shuttle is on just one hit. Alright, the shuttle goes down. Reaver also going to go down. Reaver actually does not go. Alright, he split up both those Marines, so the Reaver eventually does go down. Pretty much all the units that Scan had in his base have gone down to the Reavers and the Zealots. That's a huge win for Voss there. That specific situation makes it a lot of damage. He still took down a lot of these. Took down a single depot, took down a bunch of turrets as well. It's going to take down another turret, but the turret's going to get repaired. This single Marine is going to try to stim down that Zealot. But Scan stays alive. Scan is pretty big. Scan is now on 59 SCVs against 64 probes. And as I said, about the 8-minute mark is when they should be equalizing on their worker counts. Now more Reavers and more Zealots being dropped there on the top side. Gonna clean out all these turrets there and force those Marines to stim up. And probably gonna kill some of those Marines as well. There's a bunker there that's being made. Alright, the first Reaver has gone down. Second Reaver is gonna go down soon as well. Right, the Scarab is dudding. So right, he killed the SV making the bunker. The Marines eventually did go down there to the Zealots. The Zealots are doing a great work of taking down those Marines. More Marines are streaming in. This Reaver is still hammering away. He's only got 4 HP left. He's going to hammer away at those depots there. Now these Zealots are going to go for the turrets there. And while all that is happening, a lot of units and buildings have been made in... the base of Voss. Voss now sending out another drop. He's going to go for the bottom side or the top side. Scan already replenishing his turrets there on the side. So he's still alive. Manages to keep hanging on. He's rather small. He's got some overmind, but it takes a lot of effort to fight against these drops. Those drops are just very, very strong. And the more units you lose, the harder it's going to become to fight off the next drop. Scan just so happens to place his siege tank right in the exact spot where he should be placing it. And Voss just so happens to go for a drop in the exact same look, or he flies in all the way. The first shuttle goes down. Templar comes out as well. Templar gets a beautiful storm. Templar kills about 40 SCVs there. Scan did not bother to dodge the storm. That hurts a lot to see. He does have 3 command centers. But this is going to make it very hard for him to keep on defending against those drops. Voss, once again, we're going to fly in from the southern side, but the shuttle takes a lot of damage. Right, the shuttle's going to go down. Only gets to load a single Zealot there. Oh, the Templar comes out. Templar doesn't get a storm off. Alright, that's pretty much a complete failure of a drop from Voss's side. Flying a little bit too close to the turrets, is not exactly on the hill. Has to sacrifice a single shuttle, doesn't get a storm off, doesn't kill any of those marines, doesn't hurt Scan at all. This is great for Scan. Scan not taking damage is exactly what he needed from that drop. Did he take a damage from that drop? Ooh, it would have hurt him because he can't afford to replace those units. I mean, he can't afford to replace those units, he can't afford to lose them because the drops that Voss is going to throw out at him are just going to keep getting on bigger and bigger. Right, so drop comes in, this time again at the northwestern side of the base, northeastern side of the base. But Marines already stimming up, and it's only just a couple of Zealots, so Zealots won't be much of a threat. Although the Zealots are... they killed some Marines and fighter bats there, they took down a single turret. Most of the turrets are still alive. Marines just stimming up in there and killing those Marines. Now another drop is going to come in from the bottom side, but there's only a single shield and a single Corsair. And I doubt that this one is going to be able to fly in all the way to meet the minerals there. Because this one single Corsair is going to go down very quickly, and then the remainder of the turrets are going to take down this shuttle. And if he unloads around here, he can only get a storm off on this tank there. And the bunker is filled up with Marines. And he flies in, he does unload the Templar. He gets a storm off, surprisingly. But he kills no SCVs. That's a great dodge from Scan. Another drop now coming in from the north side, while all the Marines are on the south side. The Storm does fly in, the Storm comes down, Storm kills 5 SCVs. But pretty much nothing else is killed. Turret there on the top side has gone down. Now Marines are stimming up, trying to save those turrets, preventing them from going down, but Scan is holding on really well. Voss has been unable to land a single decisive killing blow. Scan has managed to rebuild his economy quite a bit. Added on 20 SCVs since he lost 40 of them. So 48 now, soon to be 50. He's got 4 command centers now, so he can replenish his workers very quick. But he's still exposed to drops, right? He's gonna try to go for another drop, but it's just a single shuttle. The single shuttle is definitely not gonna be able to fly in all the way. He's gonna have to unload really quickly here on the side. He gets both Reavers out, outside of the range of that bunker. But both the Reavers are blocked in by turrets, alright. He gets more shots off on the bunker. But Marines are coming in. Marines are spread out quite nicely, so those Marines are definitely not all going to die to the Reaver shots already. Oh, that's a beautiful Reaver shot. The Scarab kills about 5. A little bit of a delayed gratification. But he does manage to open up a small hole here. Scan already making new turrets there to make it a little bit harder for Voss and to rebuild his line of defense. This time 4 shuttles are coming in. There's Zealots, Zealots and Templars, Zealots and a Reaver, and Zealots and a Templar. He's making cannons now in the front. He's also going for a frontal attack. Might be able to take down these bunkers here in the front. Maybe deal some damage to those tanks there. But the drop has come down here next to the base. He drops right on top of those units. He kills a bunch of tanks and Marines there. It gets a beautiful storm up as well. The storm kills about 6 SCVs. Maybe 10 SCVs have gone down actually. The front here has gone down as well, so he cleared out those bunkers in the front. These tanks here in the front are also going to go down. He's going to have to stem up his units from the back to the front real quickly. But there's not enough units there because most of the units that were down here have gone down to that drop. Now these 4 Zealots are going to take down all these turrets here on the sides. Kind of going to have to rebuild his base and his unit count very quickly. If I were Voss, I'd just send out... Oh, Voss is going for a transition into carriers. Even though I think he could have just stuck to ground forces and completely run over Scan really easily. Because Scan basically has no mass whatsoever. He's got 68 SCVs. He's supply stuck. He's going to have to get depots up very soon. But it's going to be very hard to get depots placed coherently because his base is a mess. There's just depots and bunkers and turrets placed out haphazardly. Going to make a SimCity very difficult. Same for these starports. They're just placed very poorly. Going to make a SimCity quite difficult. You'll not be able to get all those factories down that he needs for a TVP match on fastest map. But at least he's making a choke here. So he's got that going for him. He does not have an answer yet for these carriers, but he might be producing answers to his carriers very soon because this have scans. He probably saw the Stargates. Valkyries are on the way. He's got a couple of Valkyries out there on the map inside of his base. And he's gonna need more of them. He does have upgrades on the way, so that's good. 0-0 still at the moment. Another drop's gonna come in from the south side, but there's a lot of turrets there. There's no Corsair to take distraction, so I'm just going to drop it there on the bottom side as a distraction. Valkyries hammering away at the shuttles. Shuttles go down. Just a couple of Zealots got out, but no damage has been dealt to Scan. Scan once again buys himself some nice time. He has 85 SCVs now. A couple more SCVs are gonna come out. Still 2 SCVs in that one, so it's gonna be on 91 in the end. 90 in the end is gonna be the number. Alright, so Voss is giving Scan a lot of time to rebuild here. I'm definitely not liking that one. Voss could have killed him there if he stuck to just gateway units and just ran him over. But he had already made all these Stargates and already queued up those carriers when he had that attack coming out on the front and a drop here on the side. So it's pretty hard to just cancel all those carriers and immediately switch to ground forces. So that's a bit of... He probably did not expect to deal that much damage with the drop. But carriers are always a good choice. So he's got that going for him. Carriers are not a bad choice. He's got a lot of them. That's about 11 carriers finished up here. More carriers on the way. So he'll be on 14 carriers in total. Gonna fly in drops at the same time under the cover of those interceptors, but most of these interceptors are going down to these Valkyries here. The Marines also shooting down interceptors quite quickly. Turrets also helping and assisting those Valkyries taking it down. More Valkyries are on the way. No more Marines are on the way because he doesn't have space for more Marines. Alright, the drop comes flying in, but the shuttle has gone down. Where's the shuttle? I don't see the shuttle. He forgot the shuttle. Alright, that's weird. Oh, he unloaded the shuttle. Alright, so the shuttle did end up going down, but I don't know why. Corsair was still alive. Usually you see the Corsair dying first and then the shuttle dies. Maybe he sent them in the wrong order. Didn't get a storm off, so most of the SCVs are still alive. 97 SCVs for Scan. Scan has got a little bit too many SCVs there. But it's hard to keep track of how many SCVs you exactly have because you don't always know. You can't exactly see it in-game. It's just going to be something that's going to be based on feel of how many minerals you're getting, how much overmine you have. He's placing a lot of these command centers over his main command center. So you can defend it against basically clicking on it, like I'm having trouble clicking on it now, or maybe that's just the real one. I think that's the real one. He's going to hover those on top of the command center soon, so those carriers cannot snipe it. There is a drop. Drop tries to fly in, but Scan sees it. Scan fires on it with his Valkyries, but his shuttle retreats. Shuttle stays alive. Valkyries have taken some damage from a storm. Now the Valkyries are hammering away at those carriers, and it's sometimes these carriers don't have the upgrades. Oh, they do have upgrades. They're in 2-2-2. Valkyries are on 1-1. Valkyries eventually do go down, but there's a lot of turrets here, making it hard for those carriers to fly in. Marines also hammering away at those interceptors. Now more Valkyries are coming in, being replenished. Scan's base is still pretty small. His ability to macro is really, really diminished here. Also, the turrets have gone down on the top side. A couple of depots have gone down as well. Most of the Marines and Valkyries have gone down. Now he's regrouping his Valkyries closer to his main. Alright. Voss is now being brave. He flies in his carriers. I took a sip of glass of water. And Voss retreats because there's too many Valkyries hammering away at his carriers there. I'm not sure whether I like that because he could have flown in a bit deeper and probably gotten off a pretty good storm drop on those SCVs. Would have been easier to fly those. Oh, he gets a good storm off, in fact. Kills 35 SCVs. Templar does not have energy for a second storm. Carriers pull back. Carriers have been successfully fought off. Voss decides to lick his wounds. Templar does go down to a tank shot. Voss might want to kill some of his probes to enlarge his mass, because he only needs about 70 probes, in my opinion, when you're going for carriers, maybe even 40 or 50. Because they're not that pricey to replenish interceptors. Scan staying alive. I feel Voss could have already gone for some killing moves on Scan, but he's decided against it. And that's just some planning that is working against him, not in his favor. Scan has been doing a great job at trying to snipe those shuttles under the cover of those interceptors. I really gotta give him to it. Gotta give that to him. That's a beautiful job. And now a lot of Corsairs are coming out. They're gonna be great against those Valkyries. At least that's what I want to say, but those Corsairs are just gonna die against those Valkyries just as quick as those interceptors are. So I'm not sure if I agree with that choice. But maybe the results are going to be slightly different already. Now making a lot of shield batteries there at the top. You don't see shield batteries all that often in the fastest map, but they're absolutely amazing in repairing your carrier shields. You want to keep those carriers alive. Now the Corsairs are coming in. They're going to focus on those Valkyries really quickly, but the Valkyries are now already switching to the Corsairs. The Corsairs have already... Oh, the Corsairs are holding out pretty well, actually. Corsairs are holding out pretty well, chasing off those Valkyries. Now the Valkyries are taking down those Corsairs really easily. So eventually the Corsairs end up doing not that great. Valkyrie's on 2 upgrades there. I want to see the upgrades that Voss is on, but all the intercepts have just gone into the carrier, so I can no longer see it. But he's on 3-2, and he's got air weapons still on the way, shields also still on the way, so that means armor is finished. He's also now upgrading ground upgrades. He's built a lot of cannons here all around the map. So this means Scan is completely boxed in. Alright, so now he's going to make up a lot of gateways here on the top side, so he can potentially go for a tech switch if the carriers do end up failing. And I'll admit, the carriers have not been doing all that great. They have been unable to break into the base of Scan. Scan has been fighting them off quite well. Marines stimming in, Marines sacrificing their lives to take down a couple of those interceptors. Now the Valkyries come in, the Valkyries shooting on those carriers, but a lot of those cannons there behind the hill are shooting on those carriers, on those Valkyries as well. Now, of course, it's coming into the mix. That's quite some damage on those Valkyries there. Most of these Valkyries are very close to dying, but the Corsairs eventually have gone down. I don't think throwing those Corsairs into the mix is all that smart. Those Corsairs have pretty much just been dying instantly the moment they fly into those Valkyries. Sieging up next to the hill, uses his scans to get some damage off on those cannons. Push back the cannon line that Voss built up there. He's gonna probably progress to this cannon line as well, make it easier for his Valkyries to fight against those carriers. Scan has just been building up a lot of command centers, hovering them over his minerals. Some 77 SCVs now, that's a healthier worker count than the 97 they used to have in the past, before the storm drop from Voss hit him. Now also building barracks, hovering them over the hill, give himself vision, giving Voss some extra targets to take down. More Corsairs are on the way. I still don't agree with those Corsairs, but Voss is thinking of something different than I am. I would really just love to see Scan try to break in through the front instead of trying to force it from the side, because the side has not been all that successful. A drop flies in, but a drop did storm a bunch of SCVs there. Alright, I apologize for missing that one, but at least we now have information that Scan lost 40 SCVs, 43 SCVs in total. That means he's hurting once again, but you can just land a couple of those command centers and replenish his worker count really quickly. But it's going to make it more difficult for him, because this means, well, actually he's already filling up all that supply with more Valkyries. So he might at most be able to add on about 25 more SCVs there. So it will end up on about 60-65 SCVs in total. More Valkyries on the way. He's just going to stick to Valkyries. Now would really be an amazing time for Voss to just suicide those carriers into Scan's base. Try to deal as much damage as he can. Take down a couple of those tanks, and then he can switch up to a full-on ground mass with some arbiters in the mix as well. Alright, shuttles come flying in. Scan spots the shuttles. Shuttles go down. Doesn't get a storm up on those Valkyries either. Carriers forced to pull back over the hill once again, because those Valkyries are just taking down those carrier interceptors really quickly. There's absolutely nothing Voss can do with those carriers, so he's gonna have to switch it up. Arbiters are on the way. More carriers are on the way as well. Really, he's going for the suicide move. But he sees that there's only a couple of cannons there to support those carriers, so he can get some great damage up on those carriers. Voss is doing a great job trying to repair the shields on those carriers by flying them onto all those shield batteries really quickly. And actually this ended up working for him, because all the Valkyries that Scan had have gone down to those carriers' shield batteries for the win. Who'd have thought that having all those shield batteries here would end up working out in his favor so massively, that the carriers even managed to stay alive against those Valkyries at such low HP, because they still have their shields. Shields are amazing, my friends. Use them. Pretty awesome stuff. Alright, he switched up to raids. That's an interesting development. They're cheaper, take up less supply space, but they're not as great against interceptors and carriers as Valkyries themselves are. Unless you target fire the carriers, of course. And considering he killed off all those cannons here, raids might be pretty good at fighting here against the hill. Alright, he's researching a recall now, so we might be seeing a recall soon. There's no Dark Templar out, so no mind control. He does have stasis, I assume. Total of 3 arbiters there in the mix. Raids are flying around the map. Is he gonna try to go for a main snipe? There's a Templar there, and he's got 250 energy. So I don't think it's gonna work. He does get spotted out by these cannons here on the bottom side of the map. That's unfortunate for scans. Cannons gonna go fly in. Maybe he's gonna hunt for those carriers. Little does he know, all the carriers are already gone on to the right side of the map. Raids are actually doing a great job taking down the cannons here. Storm comes down. He dodges the storm a little bit late. So his raids are on a little bit low HP. Voss has not pulled his carriers back to his base. He's going for the main. He's going for the nexus. But all of the raids are going down as they've already taken damage from those cannons down here. And the storm as well. So those raids are thrown away minerals. They didn't even get half of the HP of the nexus down. Now the carriers are coming in from the top side here. He gets a beautiful stasis up on those raids. Now he can fly in deeper. More raids are on the way though. There's a couple of Valkyries down there in the bottom side as well. And he's getting... Is this the main command center or is this a distraction command center? It is in fact the main command center. Alright, so those command centers are just hovering there. Not protecting the main. Scan does end up losing the main. Carriers pull back, retreat back over the hill. More raids get stasis. Or did he re-stasis them? I'm not too sure. There's a lot of stasis out there on the map. It's at the base of scans. Scans units are frozen in time. And able to fight back. Voss pulls back, regroups his units. Waiting for that other attack that's going to throw out on scan. He's been unable to deal real significant damage. Aside from a couple of storms and killing the command center there. The command center is a huge hit. Just chipping away at the side there. Most of the interceptors have gone down. All the interceptors have gone down. This is why Valkyries are made. Alright, he gets his stasis up on those Valkyries. So he's gonna have a bit of an easier time with those carriers now. With more... Right, another stasis comes down on those Valkyries. So there's a lot of Valkyries in perma-stasis. This one, he's pretty much run out of energy. Okay, he's still got a single Arbiter with energy left. So you can relock those Valkyries once they unlock from the frozen stasis. Now tanks coming out onto the front. He's gonna hammer away at those cannons. While Voss is hammering away on the side here. Voss is just focusing on the hovering buildings at the moment, so that he can once again use the vision advantage that the hill provides him. Interceptors once again going down very quickly to those Valkyries. Now the stasis is gonna come down on those Valkyries once again. Stasis has been locked down once again. Carriers are a bit safer. Carriers can start hammering away, but more Valkyries have finished up. More Valkyries are now gonna hammer on those carriers. He's going directly for the carriers. He's ignoring the interceptors this time around because he notices and recognizes that those cannons there in the back are not providing enough support. He's gonna heal up those carriers on those shield batteries. Just healing up real nicely. The middle here is slowly being pushed up. But I don't think that's going to be a threat to Voss because Voss is doing just dandy. He still has a lot of probes though, still has a lot of overmind. He's really throw away some of those probes so he can enlarge his mass. Or maybe make a couple more Arbiters. Valkyries are out of the stasis lock now. Voss is going to look for another opening, but he's only got 5 carriers left. All those carriers are going to be hammered away, hammered down by the Valkyries. Valkyries taking it out quite quick. But he's just going to throw new shields on those carriers, and they're good to go back into the fight once again. The colors in the box there are kind of deceptive, because those carriers are stronger than they seem. Another batch of carriers that has been lost has been replenished and warped back in. Scan now going to sacrifice his fire bats. I assume, I don't know where he's sending them. Still pushing out the middle, but now there are Dark Templars on the middle. And he sieges at the exact same time that the Dark Templars attack. That's very unfortunate because he could have microed them back and now he's going to lose all of those siege tanks to those Dark Templars. Very unfortunate timing that he decided to siege up right at this exact timing. Unable to micro backwards. But he can make new ones quite easily. Alright, he's now hammering away on those depots. Dark Templars get scanned, the Templars go down. Actually, a tank also goes down. Now he's being attacked from the top side there because the carriers have regrouped with the carriers that just warped in. Valkyrie's going to get stasis once again. He pulls back some Valkyries. Most of the Valkyries have been locked down in stasis. Another stasis is going to come down on the remaining group of Valkyries. Now it's this very small group of Valkyries still hammering away at those carriers. He hovers them in the back and hold position to focus on his interceptors, making it because he can definitely not go for the carriers themselves. And now a drop comes in. He gets a storm down on the ground. He gets a storm up on his SCVs. Most of the SCVs have gone down, and most of the SCVs have pretty much all of the SCVs have gone down. There's pretty much no SCVs left on the minerals there. He's got 12 SCVs exactly left. The remainder of the SCVs are on the sides of the base there. We're trying to rebuild and on the gas. So I don't think Scan is going to be able to recover from this one. Because all Voss has to do is keep chipping away on the sides. Keep those Valkyries in stasis lock with the Arbiter stasis. Once again pushing out in the front. Now he's got a vessel in the mix. So Dark Templars will definitely not be a problem for him once again. But all he has to do is just pull these carriers into the middle of the map and take down those tanks. And Scan's ability to advance over the map is just completely gone. And just as I'm mentioning that, Voss stormed his own probes. So he's got a lot of room now for these Zealots. Zealots now coming out over the middle of the map. Zealots are way stronger than these tanks here. All he has to do is send those carriers back in and attack from the top side as well. Or he's going to go, right, he's going to redirect his carriers into the middle of the map and send them in from the front. And those Zealots and ground units will be attacking under the cover of the interceptors and the carriers. The carriers are now going in through the front. Arbiters have gone down. No Arbiters in the mix. Alright, he throws down a stasis. Defensive matrix on those tanks. The tank is now being protected. Now, Valkyries are hammering away on the carriers. The carriers is going to go down to the Valkyries very, very quickly. But there's ground forces in the mix as well. Those ground forces are absolutely wreaking havoc. And it looks like Voss is completely ignoring those Valkyries. He's just going to take down those tanks, which would make it very easy for these ground forces to penetrate deeper into the base that Scan has. And Scan is able to replenish his tank count because his minerals are very low. His income is very low. He's only got 400 minerals left. And he's trying to pump as fast as he can, but he simply does not have enough buildings because he messed up his Sim City. So he's only got 6 factories there. 6 factories, that's definitely not enough against his entire bulk of gateways there. And now the carriers are still hammering away at the base because the Valkyries have once again been put in stasis lock by the Arbiter. Pretty much all the interceptors have now gone down, but another drop flies in under the cover of the last couple of interceptors. Now a storm comes down on the SCVs and Scan calls the GG after 32 minutes of an agonizing PvG where Voss could have ended way sooner, but accidentally decided against it. Scan held out pretty damn well. Made a lot of wrong choices as well, but he held out really, really well against this carrier harass from Voss. Voss eventually comes out with the win by making a pretty good choice to go for a multitude of Arbiters to stasis lock the Valkyrie so we can just fly in and harass and deal damage. So kudos to Voss. Voss ends up winning all the Protoss versus Terran matchups. Scan definitely not used to fastest map, as evidenced by this game. He had no idea how to play Terran versus Protoss on fastest map, and it was just going off his gut feeling, improvising, using his low map experience to make a build and a strategy that sadly does not translate from low map into fastest map all that well. But it was a fun match to behold, a fun match to see and watch and spectate and commentate on. Mostly just carriers hammering away on the top side here. Storms his own workers at the end. Makes a huge ball of ground units, and under the cover of those carriers flies them in. Runs them in. Yeah, thanks for watching this one. I hope to have more games in the near future where Scan is fighting 1 versus 1 against a variety of fastest map players. And I hope to steadily see him improve once he learns all the builds, watches replays, becomes better, more practiced. And I believe he can become a powerhouse on fastest map. Sayonara. Bye bye.